Well, if you're trying to know KPIT and what it will do in the future, you got to watch this show because we are in the Pune campus of KPIT Tech and talking to the CEO, Mr. Kishor Patil, and his colleague Anup Sable about where KPIT is today, where mobility is today, and where both will be in the times to come. Join me. Thanks so much, Mr. Patil and Anup, for having us here. It's a fabulous campus that you have out here. Must be a delight to come and work here.
Absolutely.
I can imagine. And must be a delight to be in a company or be a part of a company that has grown at such a breakneck pace. I was telling our viewers that you've had, 16 consecutive quarters of growth. And arguably, as somebody told me a statistic, that if you map global companies for 30% top line growth, 30% bottom line growth, great ROCs, there are very few companies who come. So it's been a great last 4 or 5 years for you post-COVID. How does the future look like?
Very promising, very exciting. I think we are as much excited about future as we were 4 or 5 years back, and maybe more, because I guess 4 or 5 years back there was a bit of uncertainty, but now we are more certain, more excited about the future. We are really seeing changes in the business, changes in the technology, changes in the market, and changes in the business models. So a lot of changes we see, and we see that opportunity in what we do.
I'm sure you do, but just wondering, there's a lot of talk, right, around how, while I know technology is always changing, but everybody talks now about how AI having come in is actually the new big thing that happened since the internet. Now, and a lot of question marks around Indian companies' ability to be able to not just adapt to AI, but to able to give AI solutions as well. You are in a niche vertical too, both of you. How do you see this big challenge from your perspective?
I think there are, of course, good things and some misconceptions about AI. The first and foremost misconception about AI is going to replace everything. I don't think it's going to replace anything, it's going to augment everything. That means every problem that is there in the world, every problem that there is in the automotive world, AI is going to provide a better opportunity to solve the problem. And some of these problems in today's context are non-solvable or difficult to solve. For example, a car production happening in less time, the time to market. That is because a lot of validation keeps on happening on that, and sometimes the validation is not complete. Most of these things will be able to accelerate because of AI.
Okay.
And I think there is a great opportunity to make this happen and literally impact the industry as a result of that.
Anup, you were saying that some misconceptions, AI will not do away with everything, and you will be able to adapt AI in order to give offerings to your clients.
Absolutely.
Is that something that is already happening, and does that enhance your solution suite?
Absolutely, yes. I wouldn't be able to go in much details about what we are doing.
Sure.
But as I said, we should look at AI from a tool that helps us to do much better things. Things that were in the realm of almost impossible will be possible to do. Okay. And as a result, then we'll be able to leverage, many more opportunities that are there.
Okay, fair. But sorry, Mr. Patil, you wanted to add something to this?
Yes. So what I'm saying is the last CES, when we typically showcase the new products or new offerings we can help our client with, we launch our first Gen AI enabled offering on diagnostics along with Microsoft. So that was the first one, but I guess that was the first one to demonstrate, and that's in after sales area. So, but there are many areas which we believe there could be a much more what we can offer.
The other aspect that is coming to the fore is people saying that the spends around electrification, EVs, etc., are all coming off, the impact of which will be seen in the next, let's say, a couple of quarters, and it will probably show up in the business that companies like you or automotive-focused verticals of other ER&D players will show up. Do you sense that?
I think the first thing I said is propulsion is very core to the vehicle. right? There won't be any vehicle without a propulsion. Now, looking at that, there are multiple options. Propulsion, which is conventional, people are trying to make it more efficient. Electrification, which is there. Hybrid, it is there. Then there is a fuel cell or hydrogen vehicles which may come in future, or in some way piloting is happening. So there is, in my view, it is irreversible trend to go towards electrification, or what you call no energy vehicle. Okay. I have zero doubt in my mind. Okay. It will move towards new energy vehicle. Now, the pace may, even today, more electric vehicles, there is a growth in electric vehicles. It is just a little bit tapered down. And one of the main reason for that is most of the vehicle manufacturers are not making money by selling a vehicle. They're making a loss by selling a vehicle. And that's why they are adjusting, because as you know, the number of vehicles which will be sold, specifically if you look at next 12 months or 18 months, it is expected that the number of vehicles sold will not grow, will be flattish or may reduce a little bit. In that case, they have to manage their profitability.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, they have basically increased their portfolio, bringing hybrid and other things, because two things: they have to bring in the vehicle, they have to make profits, and they have to also make their commitments on emissions.
Yeah,
so they have to manage their mix. And but in my mind, there is no doubt that new energy vehicles is going to continue.
Okay, it's an important point you mentioned. So I'm not sure you have the analysis ready, but if top of your mind, if the commitment to emission by all the large auto companies is a particular date, let's say, then would it mean that maybe growth rates are just a little bit in order to protect profitability, but the growth in electrification or non-fossil fuel vehicles, even if it takes a pause for 6 months or 12 months, will get accelerated?
Absolutely, it will happen. Absolutely, okay. It will. But I'll give you one very interesting thing. As you know, Japanese companies think very deep, very holistically. So, Toyota, for example, they looked at that per the lithium, which is, if you would say, limited in terms of quantity, right? Limited material. So, per, say, I'm just saying 1 ton of that, I'm just taking this, how they can maximize or minimize emission, maximize sustainability. So they came out with a formula that every EV they will create 7 hybrids.
Okay.
To balance it out.
Okay.
So it's a little deeper thinking.
Yeah.
But that's what their strategy was. So everybody is taking his own bets, depending upon their thinking and etc. But NEV is going to be there, and pure electric is certainly a very dominant, will be a dominant player in the years to come.
While this whole EV thing was on, there is a new fast high growth area of plug-in hybrids that has come in, which gives you an additional quote unquote line of business, if you will.
Yeah, and the point is, our business does not depend upon how many number of vehicles which are being sold. It really depends upon the platforms. And so it will not get impacted if it gets, there are other opportunities like hybrid or this would be there. So I don't see it has any relevance with the general discussions which are happening in the industry.
Actually, nothing is shutting down. It's, I think, more streams are opening up to do things in parallel, do things much faster, focus on cost. So there is a good amount of challenge in the market available right now.
Interesting, and that's where you come in. Okay, the other point is, I remember a conversation with Mr. Ravi Pandit last quarter or last quarter, wherein he said that your special expertise can be used in other industries. Now, in the release in Q1, I think you mentioned, right, that you are investing in adjacencies, newer geographical markets. Can you elaborate, both of you can elaborate on that?
We are very bullish on mobility industry. Mobility industry brings the largest disruption in the technology, and whole our play is around technology. So there are more opportunities we see in the tech world. However, when we started being only focused, when we talked about mobility, we just focused on passenger car largely, and very few commercial vehicle. But now we thought, because we thought even we took look at a medium-term view, that even to develop some of these verticals, even to develop our knowledge about this vertical, it takes a bit of a time. So we need to introduce them, and many of these technologies will work there. Over the period, these people will adopt it, and our learnings will be invaluable to them.
Okay.
So from that perspective, we thought of getting into some of these verticals.
Okay.
And that's point number one. Point number two, even in our T25 clients, actually, our large growth has come from 14, 15 clients. And the other 10 clients are actually embracing SDV significantly now. Okay. So that is again our opportunity going forward.
Oh, okay.
So one is this, second is this. Now, third thing is, in some of these, we keep on looking at who are the leaders. So now we see that some of the companies in China naturally have emerged as a new leaders. So China becomes an important market, and some of those becomes an important clients for us. So we have included them as well as a part of this. So I think it is always a dynamic situation, but not very dynamic, but we have to see a little bit ahead of time and see what can change in the industry, from who can become a dominant. One of the hypotheses when we talked about 25 clients, and that was we look at the OEMs who are leader in a particular area and geography, and if we service them well, the vehicles on the road, there will be maximum will have our software.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's what we keep on looking at it.
Talk to us a bit about how this is happening, because one would assume that out there are not mobility companies which are introducing EVs. They are tech companies which are introducing mobility. How does an Indian ER&D company find business there?
So China has many OEMs, right? I guess if you look at the OEMs across the world and OEMs in China, it would be same probably. They have 30 EV companies, and there are many other OEMs. So there will be 60, 70 companies which are creating the vehicles, manufacturing the vehicles. Out of which there are about 4, 5, 6 which are what you can call ahead in thought leadership, technology, etc. Out of which few are what you said, people they started like from the software side or technology side and come into automotive.
Right.
Some like BYD started from battery and came into automotive.
Exactly.
So there are 4 or 5 or maybe maximum 6 companies like that. Then there are in between 15 to 20 companies who are in the transition phase. And then there are rest who are behind the technology, old tech companies. So they have different requirements. So we are analyzing them. We are looking at what they really require. And I believe we have an offering or solution for each of them.
Okay.
We do not know how much we will be in a position to service right now, how big the business will be. But the first thing is we see acceptance from them to work with us. That's the point number one. They knew KPIT, they knew we work with more rest of the world. The second thing, we believe that they have certain problems which we could identify, including cost. We believe China has the lowest cost, but including cost, they have certain problems. And so we are trying to see how we can really come out with the offerings for that market,
Okay.
which will really help them in terms of profitability and market penetration. And the point here is we are there. We can take a lot of learnings from China and give it to the whole of the world, my other clients. So it is very important for us to be in China so that we can also learn and also take that learning back to all my clients.
Got it. And Anup, it's probably not just a factor of how you reduce cost, but also addition, you had mentioning about how the time taken for the OEM to hit the market also gets woven into all of your offerings and therefore helps the client, right?
Yes, so I think reduction of cost also has multiple different dimensions, right? So there are certain dimensions that we will have a play in, and those dimensions are also the ones that help go to market or faster time to market. And I think those areas we are extremely comfortable to take it and make it happen. And of course, as Kishor said, it's also a great opportunity to learn what has happened to take it to the global market.
Okay. So with all these opportunities existing, where is mobility right now? Where do you guys see mobility 5 years or 10 years out? And coupled with that, where is KPIT right now? And how do you envision KPIT to be 5 years, 10 years down the line?
From a mobility perspective, you will see a lot of shifting happening in terms of the players and what positions they take. And I think even that shifting, in my opinion, will happen in 2 or 3 phases. So there may be a phase where some disruption happens, there may be a phase where the disruption sort of settles, and there may be a phase where again few things that were disrupted come up back to normal. Okay, so I don't think there is going to be anybody is going to vanish or anything from this space. More or less the mobility space will remain stable from an external point of view, but internally the brands, yeah, because I think the volumes, market shares, etc. will go up and down, and then it will come down to some stabilized position in a couple of years.
Okay.
From a KPIT perspective, I think in that process we have a larger role to play in terms of helping achieve these transitions for our customer. You know, because many of these things will result into new engineering things to be done. You know, the architectures are going to change. The fuel configurations are going to change. There are going to be transitionary things, for example, in commercial vehicles, like for example, before going to hydrogen fuel cell, there's going to be hydrogen internal combustion engines. So even there is a place to play. So there are many sort of options that are getting created in terms of how we would like to play. And I think what is happening is we are also through this process getting to understand even the bigger role we have to play in this market. And of course we have gaps to play that bigger role, but we are at it. And when we identify, we usually make it work.
Interesting. Okay.
So till now, while we had a great contribution fortunately towards our client in technology, we focused on new technology areas. We see many new technologies still coming, more exciting technologies coming in. So we see our role first going forward is some of the technologies which has been around but are not necessarily adapted or stabilized as much, like autonomous or etc. So help get it done that and realize that, because people now are almost forgotten whether there will be a really this kind of a product on the road. So help some of this technology realize. That's one interesting thing. There are new technologies which Anup talked about, AI. There are many other new technologies which are coming. So we absolutely will play the role in bringing new technology faster, quicker, innovatively to the client. One thing which we did not do in last 4 years is we focused on largely on subsystem or this, while we had an understanding of this. But I think we'll look at it more as an overall vehicle and efficiency, overall efficiency of a vehicle. Across the systems, across this. That is something we will do.
No, sorry, I didn't get it. So you didn't do, and what is it that you haven't done and you're doing now? Or you
No, what I'm saying is, at a whole vehicle level, while we worked in all the areas, we did not look at it as a whole vehicle system. Okay. So, not that we have not done anything, but we have done little on that. So we will probably play a bigger role.
Latent opportunity.
Oh, okay. And is there acceptance for something like this?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is the second part we look at it. And the third part we look at it is actually there are different players, right? In Europe, they are used to work in a particular way because they are very diligent. They do the testing much more than other companies. They're very stringent on the quality. Similar maybe Japanese companies, while some are may or may not be as much, right? The point is, and that's why they are trying to take a shortcut on the cost or time, etc.
Right.
We believe this gap can be significantly bridged through technology. So people don't have to compromise on quality. People don't have to do this, but but technology will help them to really bridge this gap. There's those kind of solutions which we are working on. That means how the overall vehicle is planned, how they work across the ecosystem with tier 1 semiconductor companies, etc. How they actually use their internal process, and the actual working their methodology or processes. That would also probably they may have to tweak a bit to change to really achieve that. And that's where we always said that our role is 0.5 tier, which was we never came as a service provider. Our clear goal was to come as a 0.5 tier, as we call. Some people call it software tier 1, but it's really the 0.5 tier. What it means is work with the OEM to realize the best value for them across the value chain, tier 1 semiconductor company, etc.
Wow.
So that I hope we can realize that in the next few years.
I think one important part in this equation is also there is going to be an increased complexity because the solutions are more and more feature oriented, so it introduces some amount of complexity. And I think even while the complexity is increasing, there is also then an opportunity and partnerships become very, very strong. So I think being a key player in this space, how we are able to also work with our partners now, whether it is on the semiconductor side, whether it is on the cloud side, to be able to bring the right things to the customer to solve their problems on faster time to market is going to be very, very critical. And those are also some of the things that are really, really important from our perspective.
As somebody said that you guys are kind of the large cap ER&D stock because you focused on one vertical. Nobody else would have that size in the automotive space within a bunch of companies. So in some sense, that's a credit to you. But you've grown at a great pace, Mr. Patil. What's next? I mean, you've grown, as the statistics mentioned, right? 30% last 4 years. You've been under-promising and over-delivering, which is a great statistic too. What next at such a higher base?
No, I think we just want to make sure that we keep on investing, and to Anup's point, we develop a lot of technology ourselves. There is a much bigger opportunity to collaborate with universities or partners ecosystem and collaborate to bring new technologies holistically, not a technology, but which clients can actually adopt. And yes, there is opportunity for different business models we can come out. We are exploring multiple things. In certain areas that is possible. We have not looked at significantly after sales as an opportunity or outside the car opportunity. We have a huge area to cover. While we that we invested into a gaming company, I guess you are aware of that, right? It's a gaming in the car, and it's a more like a digital. It's a cockpit of the future when things become autonomous. We are doing it in some way, but I think the outside of that part, there are many opportunities which we have not looked into it. Those are the opportunities we would look at.
And these opportunities would ensure that you would have a healthy growth rate for the foreseeable future? I mean, for how far out? Because you built a fantastic organization already. How far out does the growth stay?
I always put it differently. I would say there is huge opportunities. And if we remain at the cutting edge of the technology, we can take a bigger pie of the overall spend from multiple stakeholders, whether it is tier 1 tech companies, whatever it is. The second, we can, and if the pie is not growing, we can take out of competition. if we can deliver efficiently. So the opportunity is there. I think ultimately it depends upon how things pan out and how good we are in execution.
Okay. Please, yeah.
When you look at the inside part of it, right, of this, one of the key things that we are looking at is how do you achieve difficulty at scale? Because we are going to get into more difficult things. and how do you achieve at scale. And there is a lot of effort that goes inside it, which we never really talk about. And then the other side, we are, I think, continuously searching for how bigger problem can we address. And then what are the gaps and how we can actually fill them up. And I think there is a continuous both effort as well as aspiration to get there, you know.
Sure. Okay. A bit of a rapid fire before we end. I'll make this quick. And I'll end with a prediction that Anup had made about when flying cars will come. So we'll revisit that question. But before that, so under promise, over deliver, the DNA stays, Mr. Patil?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to be careful when the changes are so much in the world.
Right.
Things are changing every day.
So have you under promised currently for FY25 as well?
I do not consider it under promise. We are conservative.
You are conservative, okay, and that DNA stays. But you believe that the growth seems to be strong enough for carrying you without getting into a number for healthy growth rates for the next foreseeable future for the better part of the decade.
Yes.
Okay, Anup, are you excited about the adjacencies more, or is the normal automotive business or what we've done thus far still strong enough for carrying on growth?
I don't really think about them as adjacencies. I think these are
It's a rapid fire.
Customers with problem statements coming to the market right now. The opportunities are coming up. So it's just yet another problem to be solved.
Okay, in India, a lot of people are debating whether EVs will really penetrate thick and fast, or will it be a market for hybrid, ICE and EVs all put together?
It will be, all things will stay.
Okay, all things will stay till 2030, till 2035, till 2040 as well?
Yes, I think there will be multiple options available on it.
Okay, multiple options available. And final question to you, Anup. Your prediction about flying cars being a reality was 2026, if I'm not wrong, or 27. Do you reckon that will be the case?
I don't think so. But I think I'll put pressure on Apple here, because if Apple has to come up with something, it has to be phenomenally different from everybody else. So I don't know when that gets happened, right? But my bet's on Apple to make it happen.
Your bet's on Apple to make it happen. You differ from that? The last question.
I'll go by what you
say. Okay. Gentlemen, great talking to you. Thank you so much. I didn't want to do a numbers conversation, and I think we've succeeded in doing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, it's a treat to be in your lovely campus. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming here.
No. Pleasure.
Thank you for coming. Pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. And viewers, thanks for tuning in to this lovely conversation.